Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Nightmares podcast. We have a fun one today. We have our usual suspects, Zach. No squirrel comment this time.
Oh, the squirrels come later.
The little Zachy does
We
squeal
have-
wee 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 all the way home.
I will end you.
Oh no. Let's get past the drill first.
Let's get past the intro before death happens.
Brandon.
Don't worry, that comes later. It's fucking stupid, Zach.
This is what I have to deal with, people.
Dude, Zach actually had his hat down, like, so he didn't have to look at me before the intro, because he knows that the second he makes eye contact with me, or I make eye contact with him, we burst into laughter.
Because we're fucking stupid.
Oh yeah, no, that is absolutely the truth.
12-year-olds.
It's the type of thing like I could shout penis from the other room and Zach will burst into laughter.
This is alien penises, and then
Well,
No, alien penises, we all just burst into
burst
tears.
laughter. There's 3 idiots and 1 professional.
But yeah, we have a fun one today. We are going to talk about our favorite Wes Craven films. So, do you want to guys get to it?
All right, so there's a disclaimer with this. Zach and I have made an agreement.
We didn't really make an agreement. You
It was
just
more
kind
like I forced it on you guys.
Okay, so Brandon made an ultimatum for Zach and I.
Brandon's
I am not
idea.
allowed to talk about Scream, and Zach is not allowed to talk about Nightmare
Or the sequels.
or the sequels. To both. We both love them. We both. Zach hates Scream, but I love Scream.
Scream 3 is clearly the superior movie.
You die.
It is. It's one
Scream
of
3 is very underrated.
It's the best comedy of 2000.
It is the best crossover between horror and Jay and Silent Bob there's ever been.
That is a valid point to that. But yeah, Zach and I have made an agreement that we're going to explore other Wes Craven films besides the Scream series and besides the Nightmare series. Zach obviously loves the Nightmare series. I obviously love the Scream series. I appreciate the Nightmare series. Zach has his opinions about the Scream series. But we both come to the agreement that Wes Craven does other things besides that. So that's where we land
Other
here.
weird things.
A couple other films here and there, and I think an episode of Disney Presents. He also directed an episode of Disney Presents,
He also did 5 episodes of the 1980s Twilight Zone.
which is pretty cool. That is pretty cool. So yeah, I think that we should start with David because David has been absent this entire time. So pressure's on
Yeah.
David now.
My
Things will happen.
my favorite Wes Craven, hands down, has always been People Under the Stairs.
All right.
So
Is
if
it a
you-
big staircase, small staircase? Like, what type of staircase are we talking here?
It's pretty decent.
It's pretty decent. Pretty decent
decent.
size.
Starts off with I think the intro. We start off in the ghetto, basically a poor family. Their mom's sick. I think it's got a cancer or something. They're trying to figure out how to get some money for an operation to help her out. And then a friend of the family comes over and talks about a map he found when they robbed a liquor store.
Something about a map.
Which is weird, yeah. That leads, I guess, to riches or whatever. And apparently, the owner of their building, which they're getting kicked out of, by the way, so that they can demolish the building and build condos. So, they found the map at the liquor store that they robbed belonged to the owner of that building. So, they found out where the owner of the building lives, so they tried to hire the little boy, they call him Fool, to try to go in and rob the place basically, just so that they could get the money out for the operation. So, and then they got the freaking mom, what's it called, daddy, and mother in there where they encounter, which are really freaking insane. Basically catches the burglar in there, basically shoots them. That's pretty much it. for that.
Well, there's also
That's
like,
all I can remember for the people under the stairs.
there's also they have all these cannibalistic children that they keep. In their
Yeah,
house,
so basically,
which those are the people under the stairs.
yeah, so basically, what happened was they
Definitely want to keep those type of people under your stairs.
yeah, they basically were kidnapping kids to trying to have like the perfect, I guess, child to speak or see or hear no evil. So these people under the stairs were ones they kidnapped who just weren't working out for them. Some of them talked back. They weren't really listening. So some of the ones who were talking back, they cut their tongues out and stuck them underneath, in the basement under the stairs, locked up. So
Nice. Why do you like this?
it's really freaking weird, and it does relate. Like Wes Craven does a lot of like the best like horror is based on like life itself. Really, like people can relate with being poor, not having enough money for any kind of operations. So, but for the most part, I love this because it's really freaking weird. I love the story. I love the cinematic parts of it. Everything.
Like the weird shit.
Yeah.
And the weird shit, especially because there's like one moment where the daddy dresses up like a gimp, and he's like, "This is where he shoots the the burglar in." So, and he has Fool with him, so he's like, "Run, Fool!" Right? And the guy thinks he's calling him a fool. So after he shoots him with the shotgun, he falls down the stairs. Like, and the mom's like, "You see what you heard? What he called you?" He's like, "Yeah, he called me a fool. His mama was a fool." And he starts dancing this weird shit. I was like, "What the fuck is going on here?"
Okay.
Alrighty,
It's really weird. Like he dresses like a freaking gimp, and he goes around because one of the kids he put under the stairs got loose and is like in the walls, like running around, so they can't find him to put him back and lock him up. So once in a while he'll dress up like a gimp, chasing around, shooting the walls, trying to kill the kid who got loose, which is fucking funny.
So if you want to see a gimp chasing children, this is the movie for you.
Wes Craven does weird fucking shit, and this is why I love Wes Craven. He's like,
Gimp chasing children.
this is really really weird.
Now that's a hell of a tagline.
The
if you-
gimp who chased children. What?
it's not the name of the movie, but like that's what happens in the movie, so you should see it.
Yeah, super freaking weird.
Oh my god, that's.
I mean, you like when you watch it. I don't know if we're allowed to do any spoilers.
Yeah. This is
There's spoilers all the time.
Like when you watch it, you think they're husband and wife, but like towards the end, they realize that this is a mother or a brother and sister act, which is adds to the weird freaking factor to it.
Everything's fine
It's
except
like-
all the incest.
Dude, yeah, it's
Oh, the incestuals.
Oh my god, that seems to be a thing. A lot of backward shit going on in horror movies.
it's basically like the crazier what he was trying to say, I guess, Wes Craven with the theme is like the crazier you get, the greedier you get. So the greedier you get, the crazier you get.
Huh?
That's basically, yeah.
You gotta fill in that void.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how I top gimp suits. What else, David? What are some other ones that you dig?
Let's see. Hills Have Eyes, which we're gonna talk about as well in a bit. Definitely dig mainly because of the special effects
Nice.
involved in that one. Let's see. Because we can't talk about Nightmare, Brandon.
Yeah.
One I haven't watched in a while was obviously The Serpent and Rainbow, but we'll also talk about that one. Definitely one of my favorites by Wes Craven. Other than that, that's it.
All right.
I'm not a fan of Red Eye. I'm not a fan of
What?
Vampire.
What? You don't? I
in
mean,
Brooklyn.
I was gonna bring it up
I'm just
and
like that.
talk about it, even though it's not a horror movie, it's a thriller. But I think it's a
Yeah.
fantastic thriller.
Not a fan of that.
Is it too straightforward? Isn't that weird enough for you? No gimp
No,
suits in
no,
that
it's
one?
not. Like, this is where, like... Yeah,
We need gimp suit men chasing children around in our
yeah,
movies.
This is not...
Wes, we're on a fucking airplane. We can't... There's no room to do that shit here.
You have a whole aisle.
There's a whole other movie. Like, we'll just put a gimp in the background and maybe somebody will notice.
He's just rubbing the kid's back. This is weird.
Or some kind of voodoo
What the
ceremony.
fuck is going on in 24B?
Yeah. Stewardess, what's going on?
I need an adult. I am an adult.
Barely.
It's the greatest trilogy ever. Snakes on a plane, planes on a snake, gimps on a plane.
Directed by Wes Craven's
Wow.
Gimps on a plane.
Wow. Just wow.
Why
There's
are
some
we
weird
not funding
shit.
this?
I don't know. I don't know, Zach.
Because I don't want to make a movie where gimps chase children. It's not the 80s. We can't do that shit anymore.
Look, if Sharknado can sell, this shit can sell even higher.
Oh, my
People are
God.
gonna be so
No.
it's dumbfounded. It's gimps on a plane. I gotta see this.
There's nothing going on. It's a little weird sex on a plane. That's it. It's like it's the same thing as making like furries on a plane. There would just be a lot of weird
Okay,
shit going on.
Mark,
a fucking plane.
that's too far. Wait.
That's where you draw the line.
I love it. Wow, I think we actually found Zach's line.
Furries?
It's furries.
Really?
That's where Zach draws the line.
No matter what airplane movie you make, it's never going to be worse than Airplane 2, the sequel, or Soul Plane.
Fair enough.
I watched Soul Plane. I don't
Never
remember
seen
much
Soul
of it.
Plane.
I didn't even know that
You've
Airplane
never seen
2
Soul Plane?
existed.
You guys have never seen Soul Plane.
I know.
I've
I
seen
know
it.
who's in it, and I know what happens in it, but
I don't think anybody cared to watch it.
What? It's a really good Kevin Hart movie. Snoop Dogg's in it.
Yeah, I forgot about
Tom
it.
Arnold.
for good measure.
Tom Arnold plays a white guy in it.
Tom Arnold plays the white guy in everything he's in.
Shot by the same cinematographer as Deadpool 2 and the first John Wick. It's a good movie.
It is.
God, cinematographers have weird fucking careers.
If you have
They
Snoop
really
Dogg
do.
in it, it's gonna be a good fucking movie.
The speaking of that, I watched Vampire Brooklyn too.
Oh, yeah.
That was a bad movie,
I know. Definitely not a fan of that one.
dude.
Never saw it.
It's like coming
Don't.
to coming to America, except they're vampires and it's not funny. The
And that's not far.
dude, I was watching
truth there.
with
So there's a reason why John Landis is the comedy director and Wes Craven's the horror director.
shit, absolutely. I know how this all went down. Like Eddie Murphy was at the top of his career at the time, and he's like, I really want to be in a horror movie, like, because I enjoy them, and I want to play a vampire, and like I want to just be a vampire and have awesome, and and like basically we'll just make up the script as we go. I'm gonna have my brother Charlie write the script, yeah, Charlie, write a script about vampires. Hell yeah, Charlie Murphy, he fucking wrote a script, and it was done by Eddie Murphy Productions. And I know for a fact that this was a Wes Craven paycheck. This was not a Wes Craven. Eddie Murphy, approached him and says, "Hey, I want to make a movie where I play Dracula, essentially, or Nosferatu." And Wes is like, "I don't know how I feel about that. Let me see the script." And he's like, "I'm gonna have to say no. I'm gonna pay you this much money." Oh, when do we start? That was one of those paycheck movies. It was terrible. It was barely funny, barely had a coherent script. The only bright note is that Eddie Murphy did a pretty good job playing a Nosferatu type character. It was,
Were they trying to make it comedic, or was it trying to be serious?
It was pseudo funny, but the problem was they left the comedy up to an annoying sidekick. That it is terrible, and like every New York black guy stereotype that you could throw into one fucking character, he threw into this one character, and it was It was bad. It was just really fucking bad. Again,
That's all I remember about it. It was really bad, and it had Eddie Murphy as a fucking vampire.
And I know for a fact it probably made its money back, and probably then some,
Yeah,
just because Eddie Murphy was on top of his game at that time. But man, it was just a bad movie. I can see where Eddie Murphy wanted.
Budget was $20 million. domestic gross was 19.7 million.
Maybe
Almost.
it didn't.
I'm reading the IMDb trivia. Like, I have not seen Vampire in Brooklyn, but I'm reading the IMDb trivia. And according to a Wes Craven interview, Eddie Murphy ignored his requests on how to play the character. And so he says Eddie Murphy tried to make it more of a comedy. But Charlie Murphy apparently said in another interview that it was written as a straight-up horror movie, but Wes Craven is the one that turned it into a comedy. So there seems to be some discrepancy about who's to blame for this movie.
I'm gonna go with blaming Eddie Murphy on this one.
It does also say that Eddie Murphy only made the movie to finish a contract with that studio so he could finally move on and do Nutty Professor.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. The just to wrap it up, and I think it might have been a chance of circumstance, and Charlie Murphy might have actually just really wanted to do a straight up horror movie, and like I wouldn't put it past him. He was a pretty smart writer, But yeah, this is definitely one of those like paycheck movies. Like everybody wanted to just get their money and then get the fuck out.
That explains a lot.
Now, was it a paycheck movie or was it everybody was trying to make a completely different kind of movie?
Well, that's sometimes those worlds collide. So it's definitely that. I think at some point, I'm sure Wes Craven said, "Fuck it, you know, I'm just gonna make this movie, get the paycheck." And then move on to whatever else I want to move on. And I'm sure he did try and be like, hey, hey, let's move this in a direction. And he's probably like, all right, well, I guess nobody's listening to me. So, Wes, I don't imagine that, like, Wes is one of those people that he'll only go so far to fight. And then he'll just say, fuck it, let it go. Yeah. I don't think he ever really had any patience for that kind of drama. The spoiled actor, all that bullshit. He's like
the prima donnas.
Fuck off, man.
Yeah.
And you're not
Cinematographers, though, he has no problem firing.
Yeah, I don't know. That story. Okay, so please share. I said this article. I told you about that story, and you found another interview.
I have researched this, and I've researched it a bit more since.
And this actually it's a Scream story, but it's
Yeah. So Mark Irwin was the cinematographer for Wes Craven's New Nightmare, Vampire in Brooklyn, and Scream. With 1 week left in production during Scream, Wes fires Mark Irwin over alleged focus issues with all the footage, not just with like recent footage. Like he says, all the footage that's been shot is completely unusable, and they need to reshoot the entire movie. And they're saying this in one of the daily screening rooms to him. So it's Wes, Irwin, and one or two of the producers. And I believe it was the producer who told Mark Irwin, we want you to fire the camera crew, grip crew, electrical crew, and get an entire new camera package. And Irwin said, you don't want to fire your DP as well? And Wes says, good idea. Mark Irwin's gone. They bring in Peter Deming, who also shot all the sequels.
Yeah.
There is an interview that Mark Irwin did with it was either some news show or a podcast. I don't know. I only found the one single clip about it where he tells the story. So I guess we'll put a link of that in the description, because I'm sure he can explain it a lot better than I can. But yeah, so essentially before he got fired, he did call the editor to see what was going on. And the editor told him, no, everything's fine. But the producers insisted everything's out of focus. He gets fired. There's also a 2011 documentary called Scream, The Inside Story.
Yep.
Where he pretty much says the same story, but goes a little more into it, where he says he doesn't know if somebody just didn't like him and wanted him gone. But he said the weird thing is, all the footage he shot is still in the movie.
Yeah, that's the really weird part of it.
Yeah.
Like, that everything else, like, which actually makes perfect sense, because there's no way that they can go back and they have 1
Shoot
week.
everything.
You're
within a
not
week.
getting
Exactly,
Drew
yeah.
Barrymore back.
Yeah, exactly. Drew Barrymore's gonna do that shit once.
Yeah.
It was a really odd story. I think it had more to, and even he in the. By the way, great documentary if you haven't watched it. The Inside Story on Scream. Great, really great documentary. A lot of cool stuff in there. But the funny thing is that like I think this had way more to do with the Weinsteins than it had to do with anything with Wes. It was weird that like him
Weinstein
and Mark
was not the producer present at the time. I mean, who knows? It could have been them who, it could have rolled downhill. But
Yep.
nobody in this room really knows what happened.
Oh, and no one ever will. Wes is gone, and and the Weinsteins are where the Weinsteins are at. So no one will ever know. But yeah, it was an odd thing. I don't know. It just seems strange that Mark was working with Wes for years.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden.
Yeah. It's.
I
David Arquette even said in the same documentary, he showed up the next day and Mark Irwin was gone. So he's like, okay, I guess they had some sort of creative difference. So even the actors didn't really know what happened.
Yeah, it was whole.
Why would they?
Yeah, exactly. It was a very, very weird thing to have it like a week before.
Yeah.
And and that's the reason why I'm assuming that it came from up top, because nobody in the production would want to get rid of somebody that late in the game.
Yeah, and if everything really was out of focus, you don't wait till the last week to point it out.
Yeah, that definitely screams of some
the
kind of
most
smoke
random
screen.
complaint ever. If everything's out of focus, you address that the first day. Every shot out of focus, that's a huge fucking problem.
Yeah. You know what? And then the problem is there's no specificity about what shots they were, what was going on. In the interview, Mark says that they're looking at dailies, and he turns around to him and says, "All these shots are out of focus." He's like, well, what do you mean? And Wes is like, well, here's what we're going to do. And they kind of just moved on from it. They didn't really, care to explain. And then, Brandon, you actually found, only one shot.
So, when I was rewatching the movie last week, and I could have missed a lot of others, but there's only one shot that looked out of focus to me. And that was when Neve Campbell's running out the door. She opens the door and David Arquette's there with the mask, and the camera's moving in on David Arquette. So the camera's moving in on David Arquette, then it cuts back to Neve Campbell, then it cuts back to David Arquette. On that first shot where the camera's moving to him and she first opens the door, David Arquette is out of focus, but then it cuts to Neve Campbell's reaction, cuts back to David Arquette, and he's in focus. So because it cut the shot, for all we know, the focus pullers might not have reached his point by the time they cut out. So is that shot really out of focus? I can't really answer that without seeing the actual uncut shot
version. And I've seen that movie dozens of times, and I know, David, you have as
Yeah,
well.
I
I
haven't
don't
noticed anything.
I've never noticed, and I'm pretty good about noticing this, especially if it's something blatant. You're pretty noticed. Zach's seen it a couple times as well. Zach, did you notice anything that was particularly out of focus?
Of all the problems I have with those movies, that was never one of the problems I had. It's if it was out of focus, people would know.
Yeah, I would think
I've
so
seen
too.
out of focus projects before.
Yeah, well, we've seen plenty. We have seen plenty.
And in that one podcast clip that we'll post, he does say that, and this is just true especially with the older anamorphic lenses, since they did shoot this anamorphic, those lenses are funky as all hell. Anamorphics are pretty much built on being imperfect, and if you have the wrong projector, anything like that can compound those issues. I'm oversimplifying it right now, but anamorphics are not pristine, sharp, what's the word I'm looking for?
Lenses?
Top of the line. I mean, they're top of the line, but they're not
Reliable.
No, they have
it's
they have a
mainly the
lot more character to them.
Okay.
We'll put it that way.
It's an interesting way of putting it.
It's hard getting the
There are
aspect ratio
there are a lot
right,
newer
too.
ones that are a lot cleaner and everything, a lot sharper, but they're not like spherical lenses, which you can get a really perfect looking spherical lens. They have a lot more character to them.
Fair enough.
You get a lot more distortions.
A lot more distortion.
Yeah, there's the
Very specific types of lens flares. If you've ever watched a J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh Jesus.
That's really what their main use for. Just a lot of lens flares.
Oh yeah.
But that's also how you would get the 2:3:5 aspect
Yeah.
ratio back then. Either that or use only 2 perf 35 millimeter film. So what anamorphic lenses do is that they squeeze the image onto the film, and then you have a projector lens that essentially de-squeezes it, and that's how you get the wider 235 by 1 aspect ratio. So that's how you would get it back then. Of course, after like 1983, 84, the Super 35 process came into be, which is pretty much just like cropping the image. And of course now we have digital where you can just hard mat it in the camera or crop it yourself. There are a lot of options now, but
fair enough. You got to work with the tools you got.
Yeah.
The I will say this though, like and not talking about our opinions on the movie, but the behind the scenes shit on Scream is actually pretty cool to learn about. It's a great documentary, the inside story on Scream, like all the different ways. I mean, Kevin Williams, based that a huge portion of that story, or his inspiration for that story, was about the Gainesville Ripper. He was house sitting for a friend, and he was watching the documentary on the Gainesville Ripper, and he actually called a friend to like have him calm himself down, and they ended up talking about scary movies, and that's actually where they came up with that line, "What's your favorite scary movie?" And he said, "Holy shit, this is a crazy idea." And he went that night and wrote the first 15 minutes, which is with the Drew Barrymore stuff, and then he went out to the desert, in Palm Springs for like a fucking weekend, and wrote and basically just wrote it over a weekend, like wrote the entire script over a fucking weekend. And he was really broke at the time, and he's like, fuck, I gotta do this, I gotta get this idea out. And try to get it out there as soon as I possibly can. So it was kind of cool. It's kind of cool how he, like, the whole inspiration came up with that idea, and then also his obsession with horror movies and all the references he threw in there. But yeah, all the production shit, and the bullshit. Zach, I don't know, like, have you seen the documentary?
No.
The whole story about the NPAA, it's fucking ridiculous. They had to go back like 19 times to get the R rating. They're gonna give it an X rating, which is fucking ridiculous.
I fucking hate the MPAA so much.
They were like so the whole like opening scene, Drew Barrymore, when the boyfriend gets gutted, you're supposed to see that shit, like, but they had to cut it out for the MPAA. So like you're supposed to see all of his guts fall out. But they had to cut it because of the MPA regulations.
Dude, that sucked. That would have been friggin' awesome.
Dude, and there's a director's cut somewhere with way more shit in it. And actually, funny enough, Zach, I think that's the MPAA is the reason why you have issues with it, is because it was supposed to be more graphic than it actually turned out to be. Yeah. But the funny thing is, like, the MPAA was gonna make them cut out that whole fucking last part of the movie, which is the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
And with them stabbing each other in the kitchen, and he's like, "That's gonna kill the fucking movie." And he turned to Bob Weinstein and said, "Hey, can you do this?" He made one call to them, and they got the R rating.
What they said was, look at it as a comedy and not as a horror movie.
And that's how Bob got the R rating. He's like, I understand it's it's an extreme situation, but if you look at it from the point of view of satire, you'll start to understand that there's elements of comedy in this. And then all of a sudden, I guess they got it, and then they ended up going. I wish that they didn't cut out as much shit as they did, but it ended up working out. So
there's a director's cut.
I would love if there's a director's cut. That'd be amazing.
If there is, it's not available on anything I know.
That sucks.
Then it's never gonna happen.
No. I know. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Disappointed now.
Never. So moving past Vampire in Brooklyn, I watched Shocker, which was actually pretty good. I actually enjoyed it. So, story essentially is a young college kid in a small town is kind of like slipping in and out of dream states, which is kind of interesting. It's kind of a lot of weird stuff with dream states, but he has a dream about his foster mother and his foster little sisters being murdered, and then literally like right when he gets up, he realizes that it actually happened in real life. And he starts to realize that he has some type of psychic connection to a serial killer, that is going around and killing people. Same voice of it's the same guy who voices. It's not that same guy. I'm trying to remember this guy's name. Let me look it up real quick. But essentially, he is following and trying to catch the serial killer. His foster dad is like the lead detective for the whole town, and eventually he gets to. I think that's my only big complaint though. It's almost like 2 movies in one, and I wish they would have shortened this up just a little bit because that definitely did seem a little too long, but. Eventually, they catch up to this guy, and it's played by Mitch Pileggi. Pileggi, thank you. I don't know why I was having such a hard time with that. He's been in a bunch of different shit, but he's a really, really good actor, mostly TV. But they end up catching the guy through his son's dreams. Why his dad even His dad basically goes from 1 to 100. He's like, I think you're full of shit, too. I believe you now. Which is a little weird. But they ended up believing him. They ended up closing in on him. They finally, because of the kid, they actually find out who he is. Because for a huge portion of the movie, they don't even know who the killer is, except us in the audience and him. And they finally catch up to him. They sentence him to the electric chair. He goes to the electric chair, gets fried in the electric chair, dies, and there's a pseudo escape, and he kills a couple people in the room, and then he ends up dying. He comes back to life as a ghost that can travel between bodies. He basically becomes pure electricity, so he can jump from body to body, controlling people. And just this kid trying to deal with shit. And then they formulate a whole, spoiler alert, they formulate a whole plan where they're going to trap him in a TV, because he can jump from TV to TV, which I can start to see the meta references, and I can see, New Nightmare and Scream on the horizon with this movie, because they touch into those, meta shit. The kid ends up traveling into the TV land and chasing him. Because, and I know I forgot to mention this other part, he has a girlfriend that ends up getting murdered, and she becomes a ghost and helps him out throughout the entire movie. So there's a whole subplot with that. There's a lot of plots going on, and some of them work, some of them don't, but it ends up being a pretty good thing. And he's also friends with his whole football team, and they end up helping him concoct this plan, which leads to a great line in the whole movie. The whole line, and I could see it coming, but what they're gonna do is they're gonna trap him inside the TV and then cut the power for the whole town. So the whole football team gets together and breaks into the power plant to go and take the power down. I love what this kid says. His one best friend, goes up to the little power grid and it's locked, and the one whiny kid's like, it's locked. He's like, then pick the lock. He's like, that's a felony. He's like, no, that's a lock. Pick it. And I'm like, oh, that's a pretty good fucking line. I'm gonna use that from now on. But it was a pretty cool movie. I've come to this consensus that with almost any movie, if you have me wondering how this is all gonna play out, I pretty much am okay with that movie. I enjoy that movie. If you lost my interest in giving a shit like Vampire in Brooklyn did, you've already lost me. If I'm not wondering about how this is all going to come to completion, then I just don't give a shit about the movie. I really don't. And with this particular movie, I did. I thought it was a good job. Certainly not a perfect movie. The acting sometimes it gets a little bogged down. There's some plot choices in there.
Nightmare on Elm Street or Scream 3?
It's Scream 3 is another animal all by itself. There's a lot of underacting, rather in Scream 3 there's a lot of overacting. This football player kid always has the same fucking emotion during the entire thing. I liked what was going on with him, but he always seems like he either just got up or just got finished having sex. He's like, whoa. It was like this 1,000-mile stare to him, and I I don't know why. It's always like he's either like come out of another state. I mean, I guess I enjoyed him. I enjoyed for what it was and what he did. There's some like, and again, there's some plot choices. Like, there's a necklace that his girlfriend used to have that gave him to him. Basically, that is the only thing that can battle against the main villain. Because when he jumps from body to body, like he puts it up against the body, and then he automatically gets kicked out of that body. And then at one time, he takes the necklace and throws it into a lake, and then they literally go back to go get it, and he's like, I can't see inside the lake. And like, hey, other two characters to go off and be murdered or murdered each other, go to my house and get my goggles and shit. And then like they're still waiting, and it's the middle of the fucking night. And then like we still have to wait for our goggles. And I'm like, even if you had the fucking goggles, there's no way you could see a necklace in the middle of a man-made lake in the middle of the fucking night. So it's stupid plot choices like that I go, wow, that's really shitty. But
something.
That is something. There's something else, and then there's something. It's certainly not, what does it say?
But
from
that's
Scream 3.
pure gold right there.
Oh man, it is
One of the best scenes. Oh my god!
I think we can all
love it.
agree that Scream 3 is pretty bad.
No, it's amazing. It is the best in the series.
It is the most unintentional comedy I've seen in a while.
But that's not a problem.
It's like The Happening.
Too much Creed.
Happening was
Way too much Creed.
Way
too much Creed.
Will you take me
You can
higher,
never
Mark?
have too much Creed.
I think this one. I think this one we found our limit.
I don't know, Mark. I think they take it higher.
Shut the fuck up. Zach. Shut the fuck up.
Go to the corner right now.
I'm putting you in timeout.
Yeah, you're in timeout.
Yeah,
Zach's not in timeout, everyone.
Zach's in timeout right now.
Will you take me to a place where blind men see?
Can't right now.
Everyone who talks with vowels and sings with vowels in the early 2000s and late 90s.
Everybody. I'm surprised they didn't have any Nickelback in it.
Oh, I am.
I would blow my brains out.
Sam Raimi took that from them.
Dude, okay.
Ow.
Kevin Williams didn't write that script. Like, he gave cliff notes and somebody else fucking wrote it. And you can feel his presence missing in that
Look,
shit.
clearly they did the better job. They need to bring him back. What are we at? 5? 6? I don't know.
Four.
You got 4 movies.
Four came
and-
out
They're making
2015.
another one, right? 5?
Yeah.
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 They clearly
Plus a
need to bring
TV
this guy
series.
back.
What, the guy who wrote Scream 3?
Yes.
No.
If they don't bring him back, then it's not going to be a good movie.
No, you were incorrect, sir. Anyway, we agreed, so let's move on from that.
We agreed Scream 3 is the best Scream there is.
Oh, it's one of the best unintentional comedies I've seen in a while.
Also has one of the best Carrie Fisher cameos.
That is okay.
Oh,
that is hands down one of the best Carrie Fisher.
And she was also in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Yes, she was.
Like Wes Craven was.
I love it. It's uncanny. You look just like her. And like, yeah, I get that a lot. And everything else. Yeah, I was up for Princess Leia. You know who gets it? The chick who's sleeping with George Lucas. I'm like, this is fucking amazing.
Rest in peace, Carrie. You will be.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, Scream 3, same writer as Transformers 2, 3, and 4. And The Ring.
I've never.
See, that's why I like the movie.
I have never been felt so disappointed at the same time of that makes sense emotion in my life.
Well, you don't like mechanical
reindeer
testicles?
Yeah. Oh God. I remember going to that movie was terrible. The Transformers 2. I think it's probably one of the worst action movies I've ever seen. It is up
I don't
there.
remember much about that one.
Neither do I.
pretty bad.
But
All
for
anybody
different-
remembers
but-
are under the mechanical scrotum.
but for different reasons that I'll share off of this podcast. I'll tell you guys a funny story later about Transformers 2. Anyway,
I think I know this story.
Does it have to do with Megan Fox?
no, it doesn't.
Does it have to do with who you saw it with?
Yes.
Okay, I've
All
heard the
right.
story.
Later. Anyway, so yeah, Shocker was good though. It's like it was perfect for what I did. Like I was outside. It was a really nice night. I had my iPad and I watched it outside. It was great. Like it was a great like just chill and watch a pretty good horror movie. It was.
It's an enjoyable movie.
I might take it up.
It's been a very long time since I've seen it, but I liked it. I do know the story behind how.
Yeah, you're
it
gonna
got
tell
made.
me. You're gonna tell me something about that.
So
yeah.
the producer of it, Shep Gordon, he actually started out in the music business. He's actually been involved with a lot of Alice Cooper stuff. But he wanted to get into movies, and he mostly just cared about video sales because that's where you make. Because like once the movie's out of theaters, it's out of theaters. So he wanted to make a movie to make money both in theaters, but also still make a lot of money in video sales.
Well, during that time though, that was especially for
huge.
horror movies.
Yeah.
That was huge. That was what the fuck company was it? That was Viacom or whatever.
Vestron?
Was it Vestron? Vestron. Yeah, it was the one that produced Dirty Dancing. There was a whole there's a whole other behind the scenes story about that company putting money into Dirty Dancing because no other studio wanted to make it. So they were the last company to produce Dirty Dancing.
I actually never saw Dirty Dancing. So.
But
anyway, so yeah, he used to work in music, which is also why there's a lot of music in his movies.
There is actually, dude. I was gonna tell you, I completely forgot about that. There is an awesome cover by Dave Mustaine for an Alice Cooper song, "No More Mr. Nice Guy," and there is a couple of Van Halen songs in there. There's a couple other really awesome like '80s metal songs in there. It has a phenomenal soundtrack, and that makes sense why.
Yeah. So yeah, he wanted to just hire whoever the most bankable horror directors were. So he actually signed like a 4-movie deal with John Carpenter, and he said, "I'm going to give you a budget. You can spend a penny of it. You can spend the entirety of it. You can do whatever you want as long as it's within this budget, and your name has to go above the title." So that's why you have John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness, John Carpenter's They Live. For some reason, John Carpenter decided not to finish his 4-picture contract, so he asked, "Can I just give these remaining 2 slots to Wes Craven?" And that's how we got Wes Craven's Shocker and Wes Craven's The People Under the Stairs. So yeah, basically this producer is like, you guys can do whatever you want, just put your name over the title, and it's made within this budget.
Nice. I like that. I like that story.
All right.
I like that story. And that makes sense though. Like I'm saying, with a lot of the music in there, because there is a lot of cool music, and it's very like the movie's very much of its time. Like you can tell that it's very much of that '80s world.
Oh, dude.
It's very much of that '80s world.
Probably one of the best times for horror, I think, is the '80s.
Well, yeah, dude.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
They made the whole fucking documentary about '80s horror.
Something about that practical effects, man. Just still.
Well, yeah, nothing will ever beat the practical
nothing,
effects.
dude.
And also, too, you got to think about the business side as well. I'm sorry, what was the name of the company again? The VHS horror company, the one that made a lot of horror movies. You just said it 2 seconds ago.
If it's the same one we're thinking of, Vestron.
I think it is Vestron. Vestron had come around and said, hey, there's a huge market for VHS rentals and VHS sales for horror movies. So there was a bunch of shit getting pumped out real fast, and some of it was just for VHS sales. It wasn't for anything else. And a lot of those horror directors, the ones that were considered mainstream, even they had a voice back then in the underground VHS world. They made a lot of schlock B horror movies.
A lot of experimental films,
shit,
man.
and everything. I mean, it was really interesting, and there was an audience for it. Yeah. It was almost like it was like a pre-internet. It was very pre-internet, very it was like the it's kind of like how YouTube is now. You have such a variety of shit. Like back then, the VHS has made it possible for companies to do shit that you wouldn't have to do in a theater, because they wouldn't. And like Brandon was saying, they made more money, in the VHS sales than they did on the actual theatrical releases. Not to mention too that it was that was interesting of the 80s and 90s. With VHSs and CDs and with music.
Yeah.
It was the best margins for those industries. It was very cost effective to just print out 1,000 VHSs than to go and have them streamlined in all these different theaters. Same thing with CDs. When CDs came out, they could sell them, make them for like 30 cents and then sell them for like $20, $30 a piece.
That's why like a lot of their budgets went to like cover art.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. There was a lot more of that going on.
Cover art was a huge thing back then. Cover art is what would sell you on video
Yep.
games,
Everything.
movies, music back in the day.
Correct.
I remember just browsing like just stores and just be like, this game looks awesome. I'm gonna pick it out.
And that was their point, was that the art was the most important thing. I think I sent you that whole like a little news clip from like 1985 or whatever. I sent you it on Facebook. It was specifically talking about like the violence and the horror, horror in the 80s, and a lot of that underground VHSs that weren't rated by the Motion Picture Association, the MPAA. So there's a huge audience for that, and they were talking about the subculture of all this stuff. That's a movie or documentary on its own, like the subculture of like these VHS clubs back in the day, because they would have like mail-in order shit, so that you didn't even go to Blockbuster. They would just mail it to you, and you'd do like a Sears catalog. But like Zach was saying though, when you wandered through Blockbuster,
Hollywood
or
Video.
Hollywood Video or Family Video, it was like you would just find shit. Like that was the cool part. You browsed and you just found things that looked cool.
Exactly.
And that was a part of the game, was you had to create amazing cover artwork to capture somebody's attention back then. So it's kind of like you just browse. It was like the first time I ever discovered Rhapsody, or one of the streaming services. They had like genres upon subgenres. Like I discovered like rock and roll, then they had metal, then below metal they had all these other subcategories, and it was just fun to explore. It was fun to try to discover new shit. And had it kept going, I'm sure that it would have got even crazier and crazier.
Yeah. I think that's why Wes Craven decided to make Serpent and the Rainbow. I think.
Okay.
There's a lot of experimental stuff in there.
All right. Well, is that one of your favorites?
Definitely one of my favorites, but
Is that one of Brandon's favorites?
He's the one that's
Brandon's going to talk about that.
Yeah,
I
that
wanna-
might be a good transition into my pick.
Absolutely, brother.
Yeah.
Go for it.
So my two picks are Nightmare on Elm Street and Scream.
Dude,
Guys, you're about to hear Brandon get stabbed in the throat.
and I'm going to let him.
Nice and sharp.
So my
Well
pick,
played, Brandon. Well played.
Touche, sir. Touche.
my pick today is Serpent and the Rainbow. It's about an anthropologist who's sent by a pharmaceutical company to go to Haiti to bring back essentially a drug that turns people into zombies.
Played by the best U.S. president in any movie ever, Bill Paxton.
Bill Pullman.
Bill Pullman. All right, I was mixed
Lone
those up.
Star.
Sorry, but he is the best U.S. president in any movie. Independence Day. That fucking speech is killer, bro. Whatever.
Not a big fan.
But yeah, they actually filmed the bulk of it in Haiti until basically the government couldn't guarantee their safety anymore, so then they moved production over to the Dominican Republic.
Oh yeah, you couldn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's literally one of the poorest countries on the face of the
Yeah.
earth.
They were going through like a civil war, right?
Yeah, they had just gone through a revolution. The movie's about a revolution happening, and I think another revolution happened like right after. But yeah, they actually filmed it in a slum in Haiti during a time like temples were being burned down, and there was a resistance against the voodoo religion, which is what the movie's about, the voodoo religion. So yeah, Bill Paxton's just trying to bring back this drug that turns people into zombies. There's this one guy he meets who has like a scam powder. Essentially, he tries to sell him rat poison instead of the zombie powder. And then there's like this really creepy scene. It's like after he's like given the powder and everything, he's like going around and it's like he has this red cross painted on his forehead. And he's like, "I'm not dead. I'm not dead."
This is where he's having that panic attack,
Yeah.
and then we have the camera on a steady following him. We have a really distortion there.
Yeah, and the camera's
Yeah,
on him.
yeah, I'm pretty sure.
And then they bury him alive. There's some really intense stuff in it, and yeah, you don't see anything like this movie.
No.
Like movies don't film at locations like this. Movies don't treat voodoo like this, because Wes actually didn't want to treat it like a horror movie. He wanted to treat it as like an actual serious drama with horror elements, and I do think that really comes through.
Nice.
And yeah, even the crew knew it's like we're probably never gonna film here ever again, which is why the DP wanted to mostly go handheld so he can just take advantage of the locations. And
Felt like we were in there. Like if you watch the film, he used actual people who practice voodoo religion
Yeah.
and shot them. Mainly, like most of the bureau was them actually performing the ceremonies.
yeah, and there's like this whole pilgrimage scene that they only needed
Yeah.
3,000 extras for. They got 6,000 extras. Like they
Wow.
got double the amount of people that they were expecting or needed.
Jesus Christ.
That
There
is
was
a
this
lot of extras.
there's this one woman in it who actually eats a glass on camera, and it wasn't prop glass. Like she was legitimately eating a glass.
It was actual
real.
glass when she did that.
Yeah,
Was this the dinner scene? Mm-hmm. Holy shit.
Like the DP is like, there's an interview with the DP where he's talking
Wow.
about, yeah, he's right there, like this close to her. He's looking through the camera eyepiece. And he's just just like, what is happening?
Was this like
Keep shooting.
Yeah.
scripted or
Becomes like Nightcrawler there. You know, whatever you do,
the
don't
fact that
stop.
you said that it
don't
was
stop
actual
filming.
glass? I don't think that was scripted at all. I think
I'm
that was
not
something.
recalling if it was actually scripted or if it was scripted, but she just ate a real glass anyway.
Jesus. I have a lot of respect for, like, there's something interesting about movies that are filmed about something and are in it at the same time.
Yes.
Like
Apocalypse
God, like
Now.
Apocalypse. You know,
Hey.
dude, that was you guys know the story about you guys know half the story about Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
Like that was all those helicopters were on loan from the Philippine government.
Yeah.
And they would actually use those same helicopters to go fight a civil war. Like after they were done filming, take all those fucking helicopters and go fight an
All right, let's
actual
refuel
war.
and get back to work.
Dude, that literally that's exactly what would happen.
Exactly.
That's exactly. Dude, and then and obviously Scarface, like they had they filmed the first half of production was filmed in Miami until they got too much pressure from the cartels and from the Miami politicians to have them stop doing that because one was fucking with their business and the other one didn't want them to have any more of a bad name in Miami. They went to Los Angeles, filmed a little bit more, but the whole time they were trying to secure to actually go back to Miami to go film. So they filmed the other half of it down in Miami. It's a whole big back and forth. Same thing with The Godfather. Them, shooting all on site to Brooklyn. They were not going to do that without, the gentlemen's, the boys say so. And that was a whole big thing that they negotiated with Joe Colombo to get the script approved, and it was a sit down. Like there was a whole thing. Like
Holy.
And Joe Colombo actually got them approved. Made the concession that the word mafia to be removed from the entire script, but it's only used one time. They only said the word mafia one time, but they said that the word mafia will not be referred to in any portion of the script. And they cut a deal, and then also all the production costs and all the local restaurants. They had to use only the local people. They were in the pocket of the mob. So half of that budget, like maybe 10% of that budget did go straight to the outfit, to the commission when they were filming. So yeah, I have a deep appreciation for movies like that actually are filming something about something while in it at the same time.
They feel the realists when you're watching
Yeah.
them. Like you could feel it.
And they also had to like sort of schedule around when their makeup effects would arrive because they had like the head makeup effects artist was in LA and he would send out the props as they'd finish to Haiti to his representative that he sent with them on set. So it's like it would on a weekly basis the on-set makeup person would receive like a crate of like severed limbs, a head, just whatever.
There was some really cool effects in that movie, dude. Like there was,
Especially towards the end.
it was like a corpse bride or something there, right?
Yeah.
And then like she grabs her jaw and starts like ripping it and stretching it. And I think there was like one scene where like, because he flew into Haiti or part of Haiti on a helicopter, and then like the pilot, I guess when he came and checked on the pilot was dead, and there was these like maggots like crawling on his face.
That's actually interesting because they had the same effect in Shocker.
Really nice.
When the guy was trying to escape before his execution, he pretended to be dead, and one guy was actually trying to give him CPR, and he bit the bottom of his lip and stretched it out.
Nice.
So it's probably if you watch both of them together, they're probably similar effects.
Like Wes Craven really loves this like dream state of mine.
Yeah.
Really? He likes
There's
dreams?
Well, because I didn't know.
There is a lot of
I never watched
hallucinatory
Shocker,
stuff
and then
and
like
check it
when
out.
he mentioned that, I was like, oh Jesus! It was like every film like that.
He's got a kind of like an otherworldly, and then bringing
Yeah.
it down to reality kind of sense
Yeah.
to him, which is pretty cool. I mean, that must have been a cool feeling though, like being somewhere and going like, we'll never be able to film here ever
Yeah.
again.
There was
Like-
also another story the DP told when they were filming in a road and he gets down on his knee during a handheld shot. And all of a sudden he just like feels all these hands on his head because like all the kids there, they've never seen stray hair before. So they're just like reaching out on his head to feel his hair.
Oh,
I think I heard this one before.
that's really interesting.
Yeah.
That's really creepy.
I think also in that dinner scene there was another effect where like they're eating. Bill Pullman's character is eating soup and like there's a hand coming out of the soup.
Jesus.
So Wes Craven, but like
Oh yeah, of course.
it's freaking awesome.
Oh, that and Beetlejuice. Never look at shrimp cocktails the same way, will you?
No.
But yeah, that sounds cool. Like I have not had the privilege of watching the movie. Now I'm gonna go check it out.
Yeah.
Also, I think there's another effect in there. Like I think somebody rips their head off in there,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
What scene was that, Brandon?
I'm trying to remember when it happened.
I don't remember.
It's such a packed movie. Like I just watched it last week. When we were supposed to actually watch this the day after I watched it, so it'd be fresher in my head.
Whoops.
There's a lot of he plays a lot with like phobia and people's fears. Like there's fears of snakes and spiders, and obviously Buried Alive is probably the main one. Like, that's one of my phobias for sure.
Love that.
I can't be buried. That would suck to be buried alive.
Well, yeah, dude. Especially, so I take it you've never seen Buried, right?
No, I've never seen it. I've never seen it.
You should see Buried. It's a good movie.
Should I?
Yeah.
I will check that
Ryan
out.
Reynolds plays a guy that's
Really?
buried alive. Yeah, it's there's
Nice.
Ryan Reynolds in a coffin for 90 minutes.
Okay, I don't know if I should take that serious then.
It's good.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I've heard good things about it.
Fair enough. So what else? What else, Brennan?
Before we move on to Zach's pick, other Wes Craven movies I like other than, Nightmare and Scream. I do like Red Eye, unlike one of us.
All right, I want to hear why you don't like it because I'm very curious.
I don't know. I really don't, man. I'm not for thrillers, really. That's really the main one. And there was a lot of underacting there. Like, you had an issue with Shocker. I don't know. I'm just not a fan.
Okay, Joe.
Not what I expect from Wes Craven.
Well, Brennan, why are you a fan?
Because I like thrillers. And it was a good one.
I
Cillian Murphy killed it in it.
yeah,
Rachel McAdams was likable in it.
I agree with that, and that was a pretty cool.
And it's a nice little reversal, and it's been a while since I've seen it, but it's like they do kind of meet each other, and if you were to read the script, not knowing anything about it, just reading the script cold, you would think, oh, this is going to be like a romantic comedy between these two characters. Oh no, he's a freaking terrorist.
Yes, or a hitman or whatever the hell or high-end assassin.
Yeah.
I thought it was a cool concept. It reminded me of like very specific like espionage movies that like one detail off. Like it kind of like I'm a big fan of the show Blacklist. It's all about like high conspiracy and everything else. There's like some shit that would happen in an episode of that because it's like one detail off. Like in spoiler alert, like all he needed her to do was change the room, but she's the only person that would be able to do that. And I like that aspect of all this, that like it was a high-end assassination of a political figure, but this one key player and this key thing needed to happen in order for it to be a success. So I like that whole aspect of it, that it wasn't just like a traditional kidnapping movie. And also too, Cillian Murphy, like I liked his character because he's not a crazy psychopath. He's a professional. Like he has a job to do, and that's all it is about. There's nothing like, and yeah, it's a horrifying situation, but I understand his character because it's just business. There's nothing. And there's nothing scarier than that. Like there's no emotion to it. It's very simple, and I think and that's Wes showing how we can play in real life, because some people will scoff at it and go, "Oh, that would never happen."
No, no.
Really?
I've
That
learned
would.
never to say that.
Really, I like for for an assassination like that, and for some for all these wheels to be spinning, I thought it was a pretty impressive movie, and for being in one spot, and and is she gonna get away? Is he gonna win? Is she gonna win? There's a lot of backwards and forwards, and I get that you don't care for thrillers, but as an example of a thriller, I think this is pretty good. Zach, did you see Red Eye?
No, never
No?
got around to it. I remember seeing the trailers back in the day, but I never got around to seeing
It
it.
is a very good airplane movie. It is better than Snakes
True.
on a Plane. It is better than Soul Plane. It is better than Gimps on a Plane. It's
Oh,
better
well,
than
you don't know that yet.
Oh,
We're-
oh,
we're-
oh.
we haven't
You
made
don't
it yet,
know that.
so,
We need to make it, and we will make it better than all those movies. It'll be the best airplane movie ever created, even better than Airplane.
I don't know about that. I do not know about that, sir.
Look, Mark, we can do it. We have the technology.
But I don't want to spend a lot of money.
Right. Leave a comment on this podcast if you're willing to give money to a crowdfunding for Gimps on a Plane.
You know, I kind of want to
That's
post
gonna be
that
a
crowdfunding
real-
just to see what happens. If we get $20, it's like, all right, we throw a party for the person who gave us the $20.
Dude, then we get to find out how fucked up the world actually is.
Well, people
Jesus.
actually want to see this.
Like,
All
oh,
right,
shit.
cool. We're wow.
Do we
this
have
is
the
a thing.
budget for Tom Cruise?
Oh god.
You hear that motherfucker's trying to go to space to film the next Mission Impossible
He's
movie?
going
He
to,
is
going to
All right.
die
He's
on
gonna die.
camera. He
All
is
right.
going to
Mark
my
predicts
girlfriend's
this.
dismay. He is going to die on
Wes
camera.
sent
It's
me
not for Mission Impossible. It's a different movie. It's a whole other movie, and the guy director.
article we read said it was for Mission Impossible.
Ooh, I have a question. Has James Cameron and him ever worked together?
No.
Has Michael Bay and him ever worked together?
No. Oh no. I'm not worried about that.
I don't think any movie set can handle that much ego.
Oh, yeah.
That is a good
Michael
point.
Bay? No, no.
But
I'm sorry, not Michael Bay. The fuck's his name? Christopher Hole 747.
What?
Who's the fucking Batman director?
Christopher Nolan?
There you go.
It's either Chris Nolan or James Cameron will work with Tom Cruise, and that's the film he'll die on, because Tom Cruise will say some outlandish shit and be like, look, let's go make a movie actually in space, and like he's already doing, and James Cameron will be the one who'll say, sure. No, as soon as I'm done with my submarine movie at the base of the ocean, and spends more money than the fucking Pope.
James Cameron isn't going to do a movie in space. He's done that plenty of times. If he's
James
gonna do
Cameron wants to go underwater.
Exactly. He's gonna take any excuse he can to go to the bottom of the ocean and inevitably reach the goddamn core. Nolan, on the other hand, who's willing to crash a 747 because he hates CGI that much.
And he also said it was easier.
Hey.
Dude, that's literally
Easier,
going up
cheaper.
to all his post people like, fuck your job. I'm crashing a real plane.
Nolan is gonna go up to just Space Force and be like, yo, can we borrow this? Sure. Launch Tom Cruise into outer fucking space, and then realize, how the fuck are we gonna get him back down?
Chris
Tom, you're dying. Cool.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Dude, Chris Nolan's gonna go on.
Preacher predicted it
The,
when they launch his ashes at the end of the season 1 finale.
oh god. Dude, that's gonna happen. And then
my
Chris
God.
Nolan's gonna be on the behind the scenes, at the very end of the movie. He's like, we had to make sure that Tom had shot all of his scenes before we launched.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't CGI somebody that fucking crazy.
Well, couldn't they just throw him into the prestige cloning thing?
Sure.
So that's how Nolan gets his work done.
Borrow some of the clones from Oblivion?
Dude, can you imagine? Can you imagine that we're actually on our 5th Tom Cruise at this point? We're not.
Oh, yeah,
This isn't the
I know.
original Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise has already died like 5 times. We just keep cloning him, and we don't tell him that he's actually not the original Tom Cruise.
Explains why he's getting
Like
shorter.
Alien 3, like we just keep
Oh my
keep
God.
replacing him. As time goes on,
And he gets
Is it
smaller.
Alien 3 or Alien 4?
No. The way you can tell, he gets smaller
Was that
each
4?
clone.
Yeah, that's why it explains it.
Yeah, we're still working out the kinks, Chris. So we haven't quite figured it out. But the funny thing is, we just keep adding phone books, and apple crates. Like nobody notices.
Apple boxes.
Apple boxes. Nobody notices, so we're good. Eventually the ratios will will go down and Tom Cruise will be an illegal midget. Like, and it will happen.
Those special stills.
One day something happens at the lab and they all escape. And they're on this
They're all naked.
And now they're and his effects guy is on his fucking visual effects guy is sitting there like, now can I do something? Now can I help?
Guys, the coronavirus wasn't that bad. There's a freaking million Tom Cruise running around naked
Jesus!
in LA right now.
They're all locked in the basement of the fucking Scientology building. Like,
Forget Locust, we got Tom Cruise, guys.
It's gonna be like that scene in Westworld when all the fucking like debunked fucking androids are in the basement. They're all naked, sitting there like this, waiting to be like restarted. Jesus.
Oh my god.
But yeah, he's definitely gonna die on camera, and we're all gonna witness it.
Oh yeah.
If we haven't already witnessed it by our conspiracy theory of this is not the first Tom Cruise. This is like the 15th or 5th or something.
We're definitely gonna dedicate a podcast. Is this the real Tom Cruise? Which Tom Cruise clone?
Which
is
Tom
this?
Cruise has been developed by the Illuminati? But yeah, that hasn't happened yet, dude. I want if James. You know what? If Cameron's gonna spend that much time underwater, get me a goddamn BioShock movie already. Jesus.
Yeah, that'd be
like if you're gonna spend that much time underwater,
Fuck yeah.
go fucking figure it out. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
You're not wrong. If anybody should do the BioShock movie, it's Cameron.
Yes.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, he's literally the perfect director. He
Yeah,
wants
I'll
to
give
shoot a movie underwater. He'll probably build Rapture for it.
That's probably what he's doing
At the
down
end
there.
of the movie, he's like, "Fucking, I'm not leaving."
But you need to go to your premiere. We can premiere it down here.
James, did you not watch your own movie?
So he'll actually build it. He'll stay down there. Demands the premiere be there. And only the top minds of the world are invited.
Yeah.
Did you not watch your own movie? Did you see how that went wrong? How things went awry?
Don't worry, I'm not calling it Adam. I'm calling it
Eve.
Fuck you, Brandon. You know what? You're in timeout now.
He's got the help.
Zach's out, Brandon's in.
You can send me a timeout all you want. I'm not going to stay there.
One of those.
Like any millennial
yeah.
Gen Z kid.
I'm like one of those villains on the old TV shows. I'll be back next week.
And we're gonna go through the same shit over again. But yeah, no, James Cameron would definitely do that. He only has to come up for money every once in a while.
He's gonna come up for air once in a while.
The checks.
no, not air. It's money.
Dude, fucking talk to Warren. The check bounced. All right, James, here you go. Here's another check. He's a genius. We gotta let him have his space. The fuck is he doing down there anyway?
Well, in the Rapture, like
Zach
Zach said.
I saw a set
I'm now
photo-
changing my name to Andrew Ryan. Uh-oh. All the producers are up there. The head of Warner Brothers is up there like, I think we may have gone too far. I knew that money was going somewhere. I just
His wife
didn't.
to Lamb.
Oh, God.
Fuck.
Oh, God. The fuck is going on down there?
I hear he's up on dry land filming Avatar 2. I believe I saw a set photo, but I'm not quite sure if it's true or not.
Could be
I believe
another
it's all
clone.
shot. I believe everything's shot. I don't know where they are in terms of effects.
Yeah, it's gonna take
They
a while.
might be finished with the second one. Might be. I know they're not finished with 3, 4, and 5. But I do
Wait,
know...
they're going up to 5 now?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What the fuck?
Because why the fuck not?
James, what are you doing?
He's gonna spend the rest of his life building Rapture and making Avatar movies. Like that's
Or is it 4?
dude.
I know there's going to be at least 4 total.
God damn it.
Dude,
I did not know
Am I
that.
the only
But
one?
I also know Disney delayed everything by at least a year when they acquired 20th Century Fox.
No, I'm sure he was happy about that.
Oh, I'm sure he was.
Oh Jesus. Oh man, it's fucking like I'm not the only one who's thinking of when he eventually does that, he's gonna have like the opening video like Andrew Ryan did at the beginning of BioShock, be like, "My name is James Cameron. They told me in Hollywood that if I wanted to make a movie, they would own it. I refuse to accept that ideology."
Is a man not entitled to the sweat of his property?
If a man wants to make an underwater city to make a movie and overextend his budget by at least $1 billion, is he not entitled to do that? No.
Oh man.
James Cameron. It's like Disneyland, but you're always afraid.
And Brendan for the win.
Holy shit.
The BioWare wouldn't release the rights to Bioshock, so I made my own.
BioWare doesn't own BioShock? That's 2K.
It was 2K games, yeah. It was a collaboration between two of them. It was 2K games and BioWare.
I don't remember BioWare having anything to do with BioShock.
They were the.
Are you sure?
I'm almost positive.
I don't think so.
They were the co-producer. I'll look it up later. But yeah, about that James Cameron.
Oh fucking hell.
So, Zach,
What the fuck are we talking about again? I forgot.
I was about to call you Wes for some reason because you're wearing the hat.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely the West look, brother.
What's your pick for a Wes Craven movie?
Well,
James
Get
Cameron
us
Land.
back on track.
That's Zach's pick. James Cameron Land.
yeah, James Cameron Land by default because James Cameron is the greatest pioneer.
James Cameron. Jesus.
Anyways, my favorite Wes Craven movie is without a doubt Nightmare on Elm Street, but I'm not here to talk about my favorite movie. I'm here to talk about the movie that I was forced to watch for this podcast.
You're welcome.
What did you watch?
I watched The Hills Have Eyes.
The original?
Yeah,
Nice.
it does not hold up.
This is not.
No, it does not.
No, it does not.
All right, let's hear about it. I want to hear this.
Okay, so the basic plot of the story is this family inherited a silver mine. I believe it was a silver mine. And
Do I care?
Yeah, no,
I don't
nobody
know
does.
I don't know why you're looking at me.
Something's happening. Nothing's happening.
But their original plan was to take this trip to California for vacation, but they really want to see this silver mine. They stop, they get gas. This dude tells them, don't go to the silver mine. It's a very bad idea. We're going to go to the silver mine. No, it is a very bad idea. Do not go. We're going to go. Oh, fuck it.
It's basically where Cabin in the Woods got that gas station attendant character.
Oh yeah.
Essentially.
Fair enough.
So they're driving, they crash for reasons I do not remember because I probably didn't care at the time. And yeah, now they're stranded in the middle of the fucking desert. One guy goes off, look for shit. The father goes back to the gas station to see if he can get some gas. And the rest of the family just stays put. There's two dogs. One gets killed. The other one doesn't. Actually, the dog that doesn't get killed is like the special agent superhero. He's kind of cool. He's just killing off all the fucking cannibals by himself.
Super dog.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. By the way, there's a fucking makeshift family of cannibals in these mountains. Hence the hills have eyes. There's one who doesn't like that she's a cannibal and doing all this evil, mean shit, so she tries to escape at the beginning of the film, but that doesn't work out. She's brought back to the family and everything. You learn that the gas station owner is actually the father of the lead cannibal. Apparently this baby was a monster, and he just wanted to get rid of it, so he left it in the middle of the desert thinking, yeah, this will kill him. It didn't. He just made himself a family and his whole little group of people and is now killing people every chance they get.
Nice.
Yeah, apparently this movie was very controversial back in the 70s. I don't see how, because Texas Chainsaw Massacre was a way more graphic and vile movie than this ever could be.
And that was like what, a couple years apart, if not the same year.
That was
I know they were in the...
Hills Have Eyes was 3 years after.
really.
Oh wow, okay.
And that was like too much for audiences too. They had to pull Texas Chainsaw from theaters because it was just too much.
Yeah, Texas Chainsaw I could see to a degree. This, I'm like,
Yeah, this one on.
seriously, people?
Dude, I still love that whole tidbit about Texas Chainsaw Massacre was partially financed by Michael Francese's father, the who was a lieutenant in the
I find that interesting.
What New York family? It was one of the New York families. There's a lieutenant in there. He's like 109 or something like right now. One of the oldest
Dude is still
mafia
alive.
members.
That's amazing.
It's crazy. He got arrested at like the age of 90 for selling narcotics.
Oh, nice.
He was fucking insane.
Jesus.
But yeah, oh no, he did die recently. He died.
Oh, wait, he died?
Like last couple months. I just remember that.
Oh, a couple
But yeah,
months.
He
All right.
he partially financed Deep Throat and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He's one of the financiers and
Really?
one of the co-producers. I'm sure if you looked it up, you probably would find that on like IMDb or something.
Yeah. Back on track. Yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, good movie. I can understand the controversy back then. This, I don't. This movie does not hold up. It's not that graphic or vile, really. There's barely any gore in it.
So even with people eating people, there's not that much graphic.
You don't really even see people eat people. That's the thing.
How did
One guy
he-
gets cooked alive, but that's it. It's just kind
how does the like special effects hold up? Like,
I mean, the special
for
effects,
the
they're okay. I
humans?
mean, it's basic 70s effects. This doesn't seem like the highest budget movie, but
Oh, it wasn't.
yeah, so it's... I mean,
Like, basically, their whole safety procedure was, everybody watch where you're going, don't trip.
fair enough.
Okay.
I do commend them for actually filming in the desert.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like the scenery looks great. Like you could like production value and everything is there. It's not like it's a bad movie. It's just by today's standards of horror movie and stuff, it's just okay. And all the controversy surrounding it is just completely unnecessary, in my opinion.
Well, I think like in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they were cannibals as well. So
yeah.
the I think
Yeah.
but there's some other shit going on. The I guess the idea of being, you know, that Texas Chainsaw Massacre and then also that movie, like cannibalism wasn't talked about like in mainstream society. Like it wasn't a thing. And I imagine that's where some of that controversy came from.
Yeah, but you don't actually see a lot. It's mainly more just, I guess, if anything, heavily implied.
Okay.
Like,
Fair
they
enough.
kidnap this infant baby and they imply that they're going to eat it. They never do. So, because the girl at the beginning who wanted to, like, get away saves the baby and runs off and, like, helps the father. But that's another problem I have with the movie. The movie just ends.
All right.
Like, they kill off the final cannibal and it's just end. What? Like,
Yeah.
as soon as it, like, takes his final breath, it's
Oh
just...
yeah, there was an ending that got cut, and I do believe it is available on the Blu-ray.
That's why. I managed, like, there was a copy on YouTube that somebody had uploaded, so I just watched it there. So I highly doubt I watched any special edition or anything like that, but...
Well, that's an interesting. You bring up an interesting point, you know, and I think I brought it up with Vampire in Brooklyn. Without Scream and without Nightmare, you know, by and large, does Wes have a decent pedigree? Like,
I don't know, man. Because
I mean, I'm gonna ask those hard questions. Like, without Nightmare and without Scream, among all his other movies, it sounds like he has more bad than he has
Yeah,
good.
He
He's also
does.
produced a good chunk of movies that turned out really good. Like one movie I wanted to do for this podcast, I thought he directed it this whole time, but he didn't. He produced it. Was Wishmaster. Genie.
Okay.
Essentially. That's a really good demonic movie, but he didn't direct it. He produced it, so I'm like, oh, okay, well, I can't talk about that. And I've seen a bunch of other movies with his name like attached to it, but he wasn't a director, so I know he has the talent and he definitely can be involved in movies that turn out good.
I think
But
Serpent and the Rainbow is one of the most like underrated films by Wes Craven.
Fair enough.
Sure.
Like-
Nobody really like remembers.
I'm just
I
curious.
think like he does have some bad movies in his filmography, but if you take out Nightmare and you take out Scream, you still have a lot of very good movies. They're just movies that just weren't captured by
Mainstream.
the mainstream.
That's fine.
Because you still have Serpent the Rainbow. You still have Swamp Thing. You still have Shocker. You still have People Under the Stairs.
Yep.
You still have Music of the Heart with Meryl Streep, where she plays a violin teacher teaching violin to inner city Harlem kids.
Which is
Red Eye.
dude, it's just like that is like when Rockstar made a ping pong game. You just what? That happened. You just don't remember.
you're right, I don't.
Rockstar made and for everyone that doesn't know, Rockstar is the people who made GTA and Red Dead Redemption.
I was just going to
and
say,
Manhunt.
Manhunt.
oh no,
yes.
ladies and gentlemen, back in the day, especially in the PS2 day, Rockstar made a lot of games. They didn't just
Amazing
make GTA and fucking
Red
Red
Dead.
Dead because people seem to like that game for some reason.
I like the first one. Don't like the second one as much.
But yeah, they made games like Manhunt. Can we please, for the love of Christ, get a Manhunt VR?
Manhunt just needs to come back. I'm cool with VR, but Manhunt definitely needs to come
Dude,
back.
I would love that.
It needs at least a sequel or a remaster.
Look, I'm just
good with
saying,
either one.
it would be the best form of stress relief, Manhunt VR. Just being able to murder people in virtual reality, it's like,
without
this,
actually
I'm
murdering.
pissed, and it's just like, you just take a bag, wrap it over somebody's head, and just suffocate them. You take a baseball bat and start beating the ever-living shit out of them. Take a crowbar. How do you like your ball sack? Boom, rip.
This is what
Dude, it'd be cool if they had like online with that. That'd be freaking awesome. Well, you can't hunt other people.
I don't really care about online, but
I would, dude.
This is what happens when Zach's been quarantined for 3 months. The little pent up. But yeah, like that's fucking weird. Like Wes Craven making a heartfelt movie about teaching the inner city kids to play the violin. Again, it's like Rockstar making a ping pong game. It's just table tennis. Like there's nothing else to it. It's just that. Like I remember Samuel Jackson hosting the video game awards. He's like, "You got fucking Rockstar making ping pong games." Like I played it and I was like expecting like a hooker to jump out somewhere, and he's like, "Nope. It's," and I just figured out it's just table tennis. Yeah, that's weird.
That was disappointed.
Yeah, but no, that's. I'm glad that I'm wrong. That is by and large that Wes has more successes than failures outside of Scream and outside of Nightmare.
It's just Nightmare, not Scream, is just fucking amazing.
And that's fine. Everybody has their preferences, and I appreciate Nightmare very much so.
Yeah.
Still holds up, and yeah, that is something that pulled him into the mainstream, and Scream kept him in the mainstream. So those two movies are the most commercially viable movies of his career.
I mean, you could say Scream kept him in the mainstream, but we all know it was Nightmare.
Sure. It tapped him into a new audience of Generation X at that time. So people that were coming up. So.
And then you have New Nightmare, which was way ahead of its time.
Oh, very much almost like Gremlins 2 ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Definitely ahead of its time.
New Nightmare is amazing.
Yeah. Perfect time too. Scream and New Nightmare are good. That's a good double feature to have. It's good. That's a cool double feature.
I'm down for that.
Yeah, no. I'm glad I'm wrong. But anyway, anything more to say about The Hills Have Eyes?
I want to watch the remake because I feel like it's a much more entertaining movie.
Oh, it is. Oh, I mean,
I hear
it's
good
more
things
modern,
about that.
I think
obviously.
even Wes Craven said he prefers the remake. He was a producer on it.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go.
I think you start to realize, about, budget constraints and
Yeah.
different times and things like that.
I'm going to
Budget's
say
the
this
main
one is
one.
more towards the times than anything else.
Fair enough. Can you see, because this is early in his career, can you see that talent shining through?
I mean, like I said, it's a competent movie. It's just, by my standards, it's just like, okay, it's okay, because everything's implied. You don't really see much violence or gore or anything like
Fair
that.
enough.
I was bored by it.
And also the family is, well, kind of fucking stupid. You were told specifically, don't go to the mine.
What? People making stupid
Really?
decisions in horror movies? That's crazy.
Now, I do remember when the remake came out. It came out like the same week or within the same month as that Robin Williams movie, RV. So I've always wanted to see a crossover between the two,
No, you don't.
where it's Robin Williams with his family in the RV and they end up in the desert with the family of Hills of Eyes.
That's probably one of Robin Williams' worst movies. It's a
Yeah.
bad fucking movie.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind watching the 2 remakes that came out, because I heard those were pretty good
I have
movies.
seen the second one.
There was 2 remakes?
I heard the second one was violent.
I haven't seen the second one.
I don't really remember much of it. I just remember thinking this is ridiculous.
Either way.
Ridiculous good or ridiculous bad?
Ridiculous.
Fair enough.
He may have actually written that one, actually.
Oh, okay.
Because I know he produced both of them. Hold on, I'm bringing it up on IMDb. Yeah, he wrote the second one.
Okay.
Well, fair enough. Cool. The so any other movies you got to peruse?
Not really. I didn't care for anything else.
You didn't want to watch Swamp Thing?
No.
Isn't that like rated PG?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It
Even
was
more
supposed to
reason.
be rated R, but it got cut.
Oh,
And unfortunately, I believe the footage is lost.
well, that sucks.
Fucking MPAA.
I still want to always see Last House on the Left, the original.
Take Zach's opinion on the original Hills of Eyes, and I have a similar opinion to the original Last House on the Left.
Fair enough.
Sounds legit.
Fair enough. David actually gave me a really good idea for my question of the podcast. So, unless Brandon's got any last minute tidbits.
Hashtag Gimps on a plane.
Yeah, hashtag Gimps on a
Hashtag
plane.
Gimps.
Hashtag James Cameron's Bioshock. The hashtag Rapture.
Hashtag Cameronland.
The hashtag James Cameron's Rapture. The anyway.
Disneyland.
So what is, because we're all creative folks here, and we all want to be, we're all filmmakers, and
We try to be.
I know we do. We do that. But
We do our best.
what is a phobia that you would love to see covered in a horror movie? Even if it's been done before, maybe something you want to get in a more in-depth view of it, or maybe something that you want to pontificate. That's the word I was looking for. Pontificate upon even deeper.
Really?
So there's plenty of phobias in horror movies,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's what horror movies pretty much are.
Arachnophobia for me.
Arachnophobia?
I really do.
Alien
wanna see
Freaks
more.
didn't do it for you.
Eight-Legged Freaks didn't do it for me.
I think it Freaks is such a fun movie.
Dude, I
though.
love that. I love that fucking movie so much. Oh my god.
Just also because my wife's afraid of spiders, so.
And actually a really cool motocross scene in that movie. The really well done motocross
I wouldn't
scene
say
in that.
cool, more or less ridiculous.
Dude, I think it's great.
I gotta
Especially
They're
with
like
the
rewatch it.
random 20-year-olds who know how to ride BMX like that. Or
Especially when the spiders are just mumbling to themselves, talking shit.
yeah.
Was
It's
it
like, what
David
the
Arquette in that one too?
Yes, it was David Arquette.
Yeah.
And Jesse from Breaking Bad was in that movie. He gets killed. He's one of the motocross guys that gets
I
killed.
gotta rewatch
yeah.
that one.
But
That's a fun one. I gotta rewatch that.
You
I
also
don't
have
know.
a young Scarlett Johansson in that one.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh,
I forgot
really?
about that. I forgot about that.
Dude,
The,
I forgot about that.
Dude, I love the one fucking paranoid radio host. It's the goddamn aliens. It's the alien spiders. And he's down there. He's like, you goddamn right, it's the alien spiders.
What year did that come out?
It was like
Eight-Legged Freaks?
2003.
That-
Yeah, see,
2002.
2002. I knew it was like right around that time.
I'm kind of curious to see how like a remake or like a second
Jesse
part
had
would.
frosted tips in that movie, so he.
Oh,
it
yeah,
was
that was
definitely
really early
2000.
Mark and
2000s.
his love for frosted tips.
I'm just like it's not really a love, it's more of a fascination. It's like seeing like
We're gonna find a
zebra run down the street.
We're gonna find a picture of him one day with frosted tips and just be like, "You son of a bitch!"
I burnt those photos. You will never find
Another
those photos.
one is phobia of snakes. So
Whatever
fear
that
of snake.
phobia is.
I don't know.
Arachnophobia.
Arachnophobia.
I
The,
guess
yeah.
just because snakes on a plane didn't do it for me, or anaconda.
And it kind of didn't
Hey,
do it
that
for
was
you.
just
Those
No,
really
that was J-Lo
awesome
and Ice
post
Cube.
90s effects, man.
What about Lake Placid versus Anaconda?
oh god.
That was the thing.
Yes, it was.
Oh,
Dude, we
I
were at
missed
the
it.
bar watching it. You don't remember that?
Oh, I missed that shit.
Oh, Jesus
I was
Christ.
probably drunk.
Exactly.
No, you weren't. That was the problem.
But I wasn't drunk enough to miss Leprechaun in the Hood.
Which one? Back of the Hood?
No, it wasn't Back in the Hood. It was the original.
The original's
The one where the dude.
You can
like,
have a fun time with Leprechaun in the Hood.
the.
You got
I,
Ice-T
Back
in
to the
it,
Hood,
though.
not
Come
so
on.
much.
Dude, I was like watching a car wreck. I couldn't turn my eyes away from it. I ignored my whole party that was going on over here at the bar. The people were playing darts and shit. I just ended up at the bar just transfixed by watching the stupidity of this fucking movie. This is crazy.
Oh my god.
Holy shit.
Guys, this is a thing now. This is a thing. No, those are some pretty solid phobias. What about you, Zach? What are some that you don't think have been covered enough, or you'd like to cover it?
I guess the ocean.
All right, so more like deep sea shit.
Yeah.
We got
Isolation.
we got
what was that?
deep rising. Like you had deep rising.
Yeah, but I feel like there's not enough of it, and more or less, there's not enough good deep sea stuff.
What deep rising wasn't good enough?
No,
for you?
Deep Rising was great. I love that movie to death. I'll watch it this day, even though the CGI does not hold up.
No, it does. Oh, it does not. It's terrible CGI.
It's still a super fun movie.
Dude,
though.
still one of my favorite deaths though is that the Asian girl getting sucked through the toilet.
Oh my God, I remember that.
Crazy great.
Yeah.
The
Great movie. Love it.
and also the axe effect to the head was really good in that. That was the one thing they did do well. When half the bridge is behind a safe room and they open it up and then one of the crew members takes a fucking axe to somebody's head and then they shoot him in the head. The axe effect is actually pretty good.
Yeah. But yeah, just ocean, I guess.
Ocean, deep
Yeah,
ocean,
absolutely.
B man.
I hope I'm pronouncing this right, but I think you could make a really interesting horror movie out of Haphophobia, which is the fear of being touched or touching other people.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool. There's a lot of cool stuff you can
Yeah,
do.
like
with that.
I don't know exactly what to do off the top of my head, but it's there. I think there's a lot of stuff you can do.
The one I would like to do, it's kind of been done in a lot of cases, but in other cases it hasn't. Is fire, like a fear of fire, or fear of burning alive. Like I would like to do something more with that. Like, you know, there are certain deaths that are associated with that in horror movies, but like to do a whole movie on it. You know, maybe something about a pyromaniac. I mean, there's kind of like elements in other movies, but like to do a straight up horror movie about a pyromaniac, I think would be pretty dope. I can't think of any that like have solely focused on that. There's some deaths, like obviously, you know, Freddy's death towards the end of the original Nightmare. I mean, that's a whole fire death, and that's pretty much Freddy's character. But I don't think they've ever done anything like solely on being, you know, having a pyromaniac on the loose. So I would definitely dig that. Anything to do with like natural elements would be cool. You know, any kind of like even acid or anything like that, that'd be cool too. I definitely dig that. So any other things you thought of last minute for phobias?
Not that I can think of.
All right. Well, I guess, gentlemen, I think we've reached the end of the road. Any last minute thoughts, David?
Last minute thoughts. I recommend Serpent and the Rainbow if you haven't seen it, or if you definitely want to tackle a Wes Craven film that's not Nightmare or Scream. Definitely Serpent and the Rainbow or People Under the Stairs.
Nice. Zach?
Squirrels.
Of course. Brandon?
I also recommend Serpent and the Rainbow and People Under the Stairs.
Copycat.
Well, if you're into weird shit, definitely
I
check
just
them out.
Also, check out his Swamp Thing.
Also, support our GoFundMe for Gimps on a Plane.
Yes.
We are not going to make a GoFundMe for Gimps on a Plane.
You're right. We're gonna
unless
do a
enough people
Kickstarter.
request it.
Yeah, unless people request it. So if you want it, we will do it.
Remember, hashtag Gimps on a Plane.
Oh God, when you share this video, share it with hashtag Gimps on a Plane.
Hey.
How far that goes.
If you want to, and then my final thing, if you want to see a good Wes Craven movie, do not watch Vampire in Brooklyn.
Unless you want to laugh.
And no, it's not even that. You don't want to laugh then. It's not even fucking funny. Like that's the horrible part about it. I was expecting at least that, but no, not funny. Not funny at all.
Which sucks.
It pretty much sucks, yeah. But definitely check out Shocker. It's definitely worth your time. Really fun 80s horror movie. Highly recommend it. A lot of fun. And definitely recommend these other things. Definitely, if you do want us to do hashtag Gimps on a Plane, we'll definitely go ahead. Make sure you share and like this video with hashtag Gimps on a Plane.
Please don't hashtag Gimps on a Plane. I don't know what kind of screenplay we would produce from that.
Look,
We will figure it
I
out.
can guarantee it would be ridiculous as all hell, and everybody would walk out either confused, laughing their ass off, or mortified.
Well, as the
Or turned on. Who knows?
There you go.
As the CFO of this company, I can almost guarantee that we'll get a budget for that. Somebody will finance that.
Look, if you really want, we'll even put David in a gimp suit.
Dave's like, I didn't volunteer for this.
I'm down.
And Brandon is considering his life choices right now.
Yeah, because he's going to absolutely be the DP for it, and I mean the DP for it.
Okay, I'm not down.
And I'm gonna head out. I'm gonna head out.
Maybe. I'll think about it.
Those are all the answers. Those are all the responses, David. Yes, no, maybe. I'll think about it. But that being said, in all serious, go ahead and give us a like, share, and subscribe for this awesome podcast. Please check out all the amazing other Nightmares podcasts that we have. Black Martin Brand is up now. It's a fantastic interview with Amy and Lon from Black Martin Brands and Amy's Abominations. They're super, super awesome folks. Filmed at Ghoulish Mortals in St. Charles. Please give that...
St. Charles, Illinois.
Illinois, very specifically. They are an awesome store for all of your horror art needs. And then, of course, please check out our narrative show, Living Nightmares. We have episode 1, 2, and 3, and 4 on the way sometime by the end of the summer. And of course, tell everybody about the channel. And go ahead and check us out on...
You can follow us at Midwest Horror Network on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, and Slasher.
And then also, of course, we are on Spotify and Anchor. And you can actually go and directly support this podcast by providing any kind of donations. We always appreciate it. Obviously, we know that times are hard, but if you can, help us out in any way, it will directly go towards funding directly to this channel and help support the very costly productions of Living Nightmare episodes. So thank you very much, as always. You all are awesome. Have a great rest of the day. See y'all.
Sweet dreams.
Please do not forget. Please do not forget to visit our GoFundMe page for Gimps on a Plane.
Yeah, absolutely. Hashtag Gimps on a Plane.
$5 minimum and get a hat with hashtag Gimps on a Plane.
Hashtag James Cameron Bioshock. Hashtag James Cameron Rapture.
$20 to get both.
And for the low price of $20, you get one night with Mark.
No.
And a gimp suit.
We'll just say it's me, but it's actually going to be David.
Joke's on you guys.
So you got a nice little switcheroo. And remember, like Brandon said about James Cameron Land.
What?
Remember, James Cameron Land, it's like Disney, except not safe.